Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really fascinating, digging into the surprising and sometimes just baffling objects found in Viking graves.
Right.
You know, when archaeologists find these graves, you sort of expect the usual things.
Mm.
A warrior, sword, shield, a woman, maybe brooches, beads.
The standard kit. Yeah.
Exactly. But sometimes they find, well, something else. Something that doesn't quite fit.
And that's the real puzzle, isn't it? These odd items, they just raise so many questions like, was this just a personal thing for the person
A
buried?
favorite trinket?
Maybe. Or was it part of some, ritual we've completely forgotten about? Or maybe even a kind of secret symbol, its meaning just lost.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what this deep dive is about, trying to figure out what these strange things might have meant. Think of it as getting you quickly up to speed on a hidden side of Viking life, way beyond just the raids and battles.
A more intimate perspective.
Definitely. So before we get to the really weird stuff, maybe we should set the scene. What did a, let's say, standard Viking burial look like? We hear they were quite elaborate.
Oh, they often were. Very rich, very carefully arranged. It was all about reflecting who that person was in life, their status.
So like,
Well, a warrior, you'd probably find him with his weapons, axe, sword, maybe a spear, obvious stuff.
makes sense.
And a woman, she might have her jewelry, those classic oval brooches, maybe beads, and often, crucially, keys. Keys were a big symbol of her role, her authority in the household.
Oh, okay.
So these typical items, they tell a pretty clear story, right, about society, roles, and also their beliefs about needing stuff in the afterlife.
Right.
And it's because that story is usually so clear that these other unfitting objects, well, they just jump out. They're so intriguing.
Okay, so they do pop up, these things that make archaeologists pause. Let's get into them. What kind of perplexing objects are we actually talking about? Can you give us some examples?
Oh, absolutely. There's quite a catalog now. Sometimes it's something quite small, like a little bronze bell. Really intricate sometimes.
A bell, what would that be for?
Exactly. Was it like a kid's toy buried with an adult? Or something more ritualistic? Maybe to do with magic. We just don't know.
Huh. Okay, what else?
Then you get animal remains that aren't typical sacrifices. Things like, say, a single raven's claw, or maybe a weasel bone. These weren't common food offerings or anything. They feel specific.
Not your average burial accompaniment, then.
Not at all. And sometimes it's tools or, instruments, things that just don't match anything else we know from Viking culture. No clear purpose.
Wow. And you mentioned some things being really exotic.
Yes, that's another layer. We find things like unique glass beads or maybe tiny fragments of silk, things that clearly came from very far away.
Like where?
Byzantium, maybe? Even Central Asia. These weren't just valuable because they were rare. Carrying something like that must have meant something huge personally or symbolically, more than just wealth.
A connection to a distant journey or person, perhaps?
Could be. And zooming out, it's the sheer variety, the sort of randomness of these items that's so fascinating. It points to much more individual stories than the big sagas tell us, Glimpses into private worlds, private beliefs.
Okay, so we had this collection of oddities. Bells, claws, silk. Where do we start trying to explain them? What's the first theory people usually reach for? Maybe the most human one.
Well, the most immediate idea is often personal, sentimental value. Simple as that.
Like a lucky charm.
Exactly. You think about it, maybe it was something they carried their whole life, a cool pebble they found on a beach somewhere far away, or a tool their father gave them, or that little object they traded for that they felt brought them luck.
Like how we keep old photos or maybe a grandparent's watch today.
Precisely. Things whose value isn't monetary, it's entirely emotional, personal, tied to memory or feeling.
The big problem there, though, is you can never really prove it, can you?
No, that's the challenge. The personal meaning, it's gone forever with the person. It's a silent secret.
Yeah. But it does make you see the Vikings differently, doesn't it? More.
Sure.
Human, not just warriors. It shows there was room for sentimentality, for personal attachments, even in that kind of culture.
Absolutely. It rounds out the picture.
Okay, so personal value is one possibility. What about something a bit more mysterious? You mentioned rituals, maybe magic.
Yes, that's the second main line of thinking. And it makes sense because Viking beliefs, well, they were absolutely soaked in the supernatural. Magic wasn't some fringe thing.
Right.
So you take that little bronze bell again. Could it have been meant to, say, ward off evil spirits in the afterlife, keep them safe on the journey?
Plausible.
Or that raven's claw, maybe it was an amulet for protection. or even a way to stay connected to a specific god like Odin, who's strongly associated with ravens.
And didn't they have actual magic practitioners, the
The lore.
seers?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
The Volar, practitioners of seer. We know about them from the sagas, but archaeology backs it up too. We found graves with specific staffs, sometimes other weird objects that seem linked to their practices.
So finding something odd in a grave might mean the person was one of these practitioners.
Could be. Or maybe they just strongly believed in that kind of magic and wanted its power with them.
Okay.
And don't forget runes, we think of them as letters, an alphabet, but to the Vikings, they were much more. They held inherent magical power.
Right. They weren't just for writing messages.
Definitely not. So it's totally possible that some of these strange grave goods were tools used in magic, or maybe objects created by magic, symbols whose specific meaning is just gone, lost to time.
It really opens up a whole different way of seeing these items.
Right.
Okay, can we look at a specific example where all this comes together? You mentioned the Oseberg ship burial earlier. That sounds like a key site.
It absolutely is a landmark find. It's this incredibly rich ship burial from Norway containing the remains of two high-status women.
And it had the expected treasures, right, but also some weird stuff.
Exactly. Alongside amazing carvings, textiles, tools, all the high-status goods, they found things that were just baffling, like peacock feathers.
Peacock feathers in Viking Norway.
Yep. And seeds from plants that definitely didn't grow in Scandinavia back then. But maybe the most startling thing was this bronze bucket, imported probably, and it's decorated with this figure sitting in a kind of meditative pose. Looks remarkably like depictions of Buddha.
Wow. Okay, peacock feathers, foreign seeds, a Buddha-like figure. That's more than just quirky. That feels intentional.
It really does. This wasn't just random clutter. It seems like a carefully curated collection. And it seriously challenges our neat little boxes about the Viking worldview. It suggests they had connections, trade routes, sure, but maybe also a fascination with distant cultures, distant ideas, far beyond what we might expect.
So that Buddha figure, it's not just proof of trade. It might hint at something deeper, like an interest in foreign beliefs.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How rigid was their worldview? Or was it more porous? Did they absorb ideas from places they visited or traded with? That figure might not mean they understood Buddhism, but it hints at a curiosity, maybe even seeing power or meaning in symbols from incredibly far away, reinterpreting them, perhaps.
So the Oseberg ship is like this amazing time capsule, but some of its messages are still completely mysterious.
Absolutely. It's a perfect example. It gives us this incredible window, but also leaves us with these profound puzzles about their beliefs, their connections, their inner lives, a hidden world we're still trying to piece together.
Yeah.
And really, the whole enigma of these strange grave goods, it's such a powerful reminder, isn't it, that what we know about the Viking Age is just part of the story. The sagas give us the big epics, the battles, the kings.
The highlight's real.
Kinda, yeah. But these objects, they whisper about countless personal stories, unique beliefs, private rituals that never got written down.
So when we find these things, they're like silent messages. Keys to a language of symbols we've mostly forgotten. It definitely pushes you past that simple sword and shield stereotype.
It does.
You start to see the actual person, their hopes, maybe their fears, their specific ideas about what comes next, their own little superstitions.
It paints a much richer, more complex, and frankly more interesting picture. The mystery is part of the fascination.
It really is.
So the question remains, and maybe it's one for you listening to ponder. What do you think these strange objects in Viking graves truly meant?
A great question to leave us with. And if this deep dive into archaeological puzzles has sparked your curiosity and you want to explore more authentic Viking history or Norse legends, well, you know where to find more insights. Until next time.